Steve Naglitz, graduate student here at Stockton in the Environmental Science program. I get that the plan deals primarily with the economic engines and the development of that resource or those resources for the state. Tough economic times, you can try and maximize however much money you can get out of the businesses that can keep in the state all the time. One of the things that I think the plan doesn't cover, and when you get to your fourth goal, it talks about local government and regional representation. I see all the big authorities, I see all the big commissions. Those same commissions have people appointed by the governor, by the local authorities who they need to work with, and always include citizen representation. When this plan becomes final, there isn't a way for the private citizen or the literal society to have input into the plan as part of what the requirements will eventually be. How many businesses do you support for their money that go out of business and leave the state because it's no longer viable for them and we're left to clean up the problem? By having representation from a group of citizens, appointed citizens, however you want to go about it, make sure that all these voices here have been heard. And at the same time, any local planning board will look for the representation of all the people in their area. You're missing that in this plan. And even though not everybody's saying it, all their comments are saying, we're not being represented when it comes time to make those final decisions. Put in groups like the Literal Society, Stockton, whoever you come up with for representation, but it should be equal to all the businesses that are there. Thank you.
My name is Bill Haney. I'm from Vincenttown, New Jersey, which is in Burlington County. And I spent a lot of time going over the plan, and there are a couple of points I'd like to make. First has to do with real estate prices. If you took a look at what the plan was many parts of the plan were all about, was the forcing of citizens to live in town centers. And Portland, Oregon serves as a perfect example of what happened when they had minimum density as opposed to a maximum density local ordinance laws. It drove the price of real estate through the roof. What happened was they said, okay, now you have to have in this particular community buildings of no fewer than 3 units. They raised that to 5 units, 7 units, and as a consequence, the land real estate prices went up through the roof. They did the same thing in San Francisco, California. That's the left coast. They do odd things out there. And what they did was that they had in one of the mission districts of San Francisco an opportunity to do some redevelopment. And a lot of the people who represented the indigenous poor came to them and said, this is not a good idea, because what happens when you have these development processes implemented, the poor lose. And the city said, well, that's tough shit on the poor. And they went ahead and improved this facility, which was an apartment building. I think it was a 15-story apartment building with about 600, 700 units. And as a consequence, they drove out the people who were living in the decaying, crumbling homes that were left behind by the previous wave that had moved out to the valleys. And the director of public health, I forget the division he works for, the Occupational and Health Hazards Division, I think it is, PhD, is an MD. He said that what happens is that displacement of the poor results in poor health. The poor are subjected to additional stresses in their personal lives because they no longer have a place to live. They are subjected to endocrinology issues because of which results in poor health. They have all kinds of health issues as a result of that. Now, if you look at what's happening or what's in the plan, everybody wants to push everybody into a town center in New Jersey. Let me ask, how many people live in Trenton or Newark or Patterson or Camden that want to live in Trenton, Newark, Patterson, or Camden? Nobody. Because of the issues that infect those cities. Crime, education, and neither of those, crime nor education, were addressed in the state plan. The fact that you have so many people who are suffering, who are in the process of growing out of Trenton and into better homes, this is going to just turn that situation around and make it so difficult for the poor in this state to get out. They're trying to bootstrap themselves. If you go into Trenton, in West Trenton, where they have beautiful homes, there was an out-migration about 25 years ago.
We're going to have to wrap up.
Okay,
We're going to
yeah.
have to wrap up.
If you take a look at West Trenton, the beautiful homes now are populated by minority families. They wouldn't have had the opportunity if those homes hadn't been moved, exited for the suburbs. If you take that opportunity away from the poor, they are going to fall by the wayside. And if you don't provide an educational system for the people who live in the inner cities, rather than the issues that we have today, it's just going to exacerbate the problems that we have. Crime is the single biggest issue. Drugs is the biggest issue in crime.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Regina Shenza? Lucy from New Jersey.
I have a question. And my question comes from the fact that New Jersey has an unemployment rate of 9%, which is higher than the national average, and we're also ranked 47, 49 in some studies in business climate. The stated goal of this plan, the number one stated goal of this plan is economic growth. When I look at states like Texas and Virginia, states that have low unemployment rates and have very high business climates, I see that they have very low taxes. I see that they rank very low in regulatory requirements, and I also see that they're right to life states. Right to work states. I don't see any of those particular elements in this plan to achieve economic growth. My question is, I also did not see that these states that are successful are creating prioritized industry clusters or mixed-use, walkable communities in urban areas. So my question is, where has a plan similar to this been executed successfully, where it has created jobs, or are we really engaged in an experiment?
Thank you. John Peterson, Atlantic County. We'd be happy to answer that. I mean, we don't have this data right at our fingertips, so if you will, we do have supporting data for you. Yeah, we're going to answer the question when we get the data. We don't have the data at our fingertips right now. So.
Just to state where this has been successful, where it's been implemented, where it's been.
Just quickly, Texas is known for its clustering strategy. Yeah, and we'll be happy to get the facts and figures for you.
Also, government low taxes, they also have
This is, yeah, and we don't build this as a silver bullet approach to solving all of our problems. We recognize there's other problems the plan doesn't hit on. John Peterson, Atlantic County. Man, we can't have you.
I can answer these questions, but nothing recorded.
They're recorded. Yes.
You're recording these questions?
Yes.
I can't hear them all. How does that mean?
We're recording and we're also taking notes.
Oh, are you really?
Yep. Yes, sir. Go on to
You're
the
gonna publish this? The answers?
Are we going to publish the answers?
Yeah. How are you gonna publish it?
Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to let the next speaker speak. We have to keep order. We can't have you yelling out. Yes.
Good evening. I'm John Peterson. I'm with the Atlantic County Department of Regional Planning and Development. And I've been involved in 3 cross-acceptances. Actually, it might be great if this one cross-acceptance process. This has gone on for so long. And as Sean and I were just talking, A, B, and C in cross-acceptance of this new proposed plan. We think, number one, we want to thank the staff of the Office of Planning Advocacy, especially Jerry and Dan, Lieutenant Governor's Office, for the opportunities that municipal and county governments have had to have input into the plan. Okay, we have met as part of the County Planners Association, and Mr. McKeon spoke earlier, is also involved in with his county, and we also had a regional meeting in this building, I guess it was last summer, that talked specifically about local problems and local issues. So I want to say that there has been input from local government people into the process, and it is far superior to the, I forget how many pages, I think it was 397 pages, the last plan, and then it had another 1,200 pages of documentation after that, that you read as appendices. This 41 pages, while it is simplistic, we really appreciate the goals that are set forward. And we look forward as a county government to working with the Office of Planning Advocacy and State Planning Commission, and also the state agencies to work on those 4 goals. Specifically, we look forward to targeting economic growth in our county in the areas that really could be developed so that they are more productive for jobs and also for spillover into the various communities. We also believe in vibrant regions, and as Dave pointed out earlier, we believe that the state is not like mayonnaise spread on bread. Okay, we have lumps and valleys and things, and every community is different, every county is different. So we really appreciate the fact that this plan does not try to make it one size fits all like the other plans have, and that we look forward to working with you to work on the individual, regional, county, municipal things that will make it special and make it targeted to each of the various municipalities and jurisdictions. At the same time, we believe in good stewardship. We don't believe that we're here to shoot down environmental quality. I would like to shoot down some environmental regulations. Not because we don't believe that things should be preserved, but because we believe that the way the regulations are written make it so difficult to follow and so expensive that we have the exodus of businesses that many people have noted here tonight. So we look forward to working with OPA and the other state agencies, especially in the tactical alignment of government, so that we might streamline some of these things and make things more efficient so that everybody benefits, businesses and, Tim, also the environmental resources are maintained and good stewardship is maintained as well, but with streamlining of the regulatory environment in particular. And I'll just say, NJGP findings are difficult to deal with. They're not bad things, they're just difficult to deal with, and those are the 2 areas that are most difficult to deal with in Atlanta County. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak briefly, and thank you for the work on the plan. I'm not an expert on the plan, but I've looked at the documentation that you've prepared, and I think you got a lot of things right. I think you recognize New Jersey's strengths and problems, and I think the plan reinforces the good things about New Jersey. There are a lot of emotions. Whenever planners try to do planning, there are a lot of emotions, and a lot of those come from a good place. People care about where they live and the way they live, but I think this plan provides the choices that New Jerseyans look for. Choices to live in centers, choices to live in rural areas, choices to live in cities. Please take the time to understand the plan rather than react emotionally, because it's not perfect, but it has a lot of good things in it. And if you participate in this process, you will make it better. The last thing I would like to say is the plan is critical because we are facing a crisis with our financial structure and investment in infrastructure, investment in transportation, investment in sewer and water, investment in school buildings and so on. There is not going to be enough money from our taxes to continue to build whatever we want, wherever we want. We're going to have to be very thoughtful and strategic about how we spend our tax dollars. No one wants to spend more tax dollars than are necessary. A key way to spend that money efficiently and spend it in the right places is through a plan. And that's what I think this plan is going to do. Thank you.
Thank you.